Well, ladies and gentlemen, Stargirl is back. The girl of the stars has returned. It's your boy Icon with some DC TV, and this is season 3, episode 1 of Stargirl. These episodes have titles now because they did not have titles in season 2. This is last season was School Days. This particular season is Frenemies. Chapter 1, The Murder. And again, it's your boy Icon with a little DC TV up in here. And it is very refreshing because we haven't had any DC TV for a while. And I've been forced to watch a lot of Marvel TV. And I'm just saying it's nice to watch something that isn't rushed and actually has good storytelling. So with that being said, the Murder Kids have returned. The JSA, you know, the Children of Murder. They back. Jess, we back, baby. Check out Jess and King on YouTube, everybody. Awesome channel for all the Black Goth experiences. And now here we go. The episode starts where, well, we're still in summer. And it's weird because we're in season 3 of Stargirl. Season 1 took place during school. Season 2 took place during summer school. And season 3 takes place when the new school year, you know, begins, like summer's over. So we've covered 3 seasons of Stargirl basically in 1 year. This is very interesting. But we're going through the cast now because the cast has expanded. There are more people now. So now we're going through Blue Valley. The first person we see, well, we hear a familiar voice in the beginning, but the very first character we see is good old Jakeem. And Jakeem, he's still got the paper route. He still has the Thunderbolt, and he still has, you know, the bike and everything. He's going around throwing newspapers on everybody's porch, and he throws one particular newspaper on one particular porch. And when that person picks up the newspaper and reveals his identity, it is the MVP of season 2, the Shade. So he's still in Blue Valley. We see Rick, who's still trying to bring Grundy back to life. He's burying him in various places throughout the forest, and it's not working. We check in on like minor characters, like the lady who worked at the diner, the mechanic guy that Pat was working with last season. Like, we check in on them. We did not see Icicle Jr., so we're saving that one. But then, you know, we see Yolanda. She's coming out of church. We also see Cindy Berman, who's helping old ladies with their groceries and helping them across the street. We also see Beth, Beth now, because she's a superhero, her parents didn't get divorced and her parents are still together, and her parents are trying to help her with her superheroism. All Beth wanted in season 1 was for her parents to care about her more and to give her more attention. And now that they're doing that, she wished they'd go back to how things used to be. We see the Crocs, the Croc family. They still live across the street. They're in perfect sync, still doing their exercise thing. And then we get another familiar face from season 1, the Gambler. The Gambler has returned. Starman is still there. He's actually living in Pat Dugan's house because Pat and his family went on vacation. When the Gambler returns to the city, he immediately goes to Pat's house. His whole thing is, he flat out told them, he said that while he was on the run, he discovered that he had a daughter. And while he discovered that he had a daughter, it put him in a situation where he looked at himself, and then he heard all the news about the former villains of the Injustice Society, how they saved Blue Valley from Eclipso and everything, and it made him have a change of heart so he can be a better person for his daughter. Now, Pat flat out told him the other members of the JSA got a pass because at least they actually stepped in and they saved Blue Valley, and they showed us that there's a possibility that they could be redeemed. He said, but your ass, you hid for an entire year. Well, not the year, but you hid all summer. Nobody's seen you. And now you come back and you just all of a sudden want redemption. But then he was just like, well, that's why I'm going around and I'm making amends one by one to clear my good name. So if my daughter wants a relationship one day, at least she won't see that I's a piece of shit. So so as he's making the rounds, he goes to the Shade. And I swear to God, I miss the Shade. I miss the Shade. The Shade is at the diner. And the girl who works at the diner made him a cup of tea. The look on this man's face when he drank that tea, I was like, you don't understand, like, how good my soul feels having this show back and having some DC TV back in my life. Like, for the love of God, I miss this stuff. The Shade is still the MVP. I'm sorry. So he comes in, and then the Gambler comes in. The two of them have a conversation. He's like, I've always, like, the Gambler sounds like the character G from Street Fighter V. He's like, the only thing that was missed was him saying how he was the president of the earth, but he was just like, he's like, I've come to beg your forgiveness, you know, Mr. Shade, and, you know, I've I've always admired your skills and your debonair style of dress. And the Shade was like, if you don't get out of here, I'm going to suck you into the deepest, darkest hole and throw away the key. And then the Gambler, he's like, all right, motherfucker, you know, like that he dips. But then after that, the Shade kind of like wipes his eye and you see like some shade smoke on his finger. And then the shade smoke immediately turned green after that. I feel like that has something to do with Jenny, Green Lantern's daughter. Jenny was not in this episode either, but that obviously had to be Green Lantern residual dust because, like, what else could it be? So we're moving right along here, and now the JSA, they're at school now. They're all sitting at the table, and they're talking about the new things and, like, what's going to happen going forward. Talking about Starman being there, talking about the fact that the Gambler's back. Cindy Berman takes a seat at the table. Everybody, well, Yolanda and Rick specifically were giving her the side eye. But Yolanda's the only person that has, like, a legitimate gripe. I understand why Yolanda don't want her ass on the team. Like, I get that. And to be honest with you, because Cindy knows how to fight, and because Yolanda is actually a boxer, like we saw in season 1, like she's a trained boxer and she actually knows how to fight, you need to just put these two in a ring together, let them beat the crap out of each other, and then once we're done, we're all friends and everybody walks away. Because Sydney's the type of person where she's not going to, like, humble herself just to make Yolanda feel better. She's going to keep it real. She's going to tell it like it is. And Yolanda can't get past what happened to her, understandably so to an extent. So Courtney got to figure that out. But Courtney was trying to, like, you know, put a round peg in a square hole, and it wasn't working because Yolanda's just not going to accept her. Rick's whole thing is he's just like, yo, the Gambler ain't shit and we shouldn't trust him. And then Courtney was just like, oh, but everybody deserves a second chance and everything. And it's like, bro, like, you gave Grundy a second chance, and it's like, you shitting on the Gambler. And then Artemis shows up talking about Go Team, and she's still on the football team. And, you know, one of the players on her team was like, why are you talking to them? They're a bunch of losers. But the thing about it is, and we find this out later because Artemis's mother went to go talk to Barbara at one point and said that Artemis wants to be in the JSA. She couldn't even say the words JSA, like she almost threw up. But she said that her daughter wants to be a member of the JSA, and because everybody else is getting a second chance, you know, she wants her daughter to be on the team. But then Barbara was just like, it's not my team, like I can't put her on the team. And then she's like, fine, then my daughter will prove herself, and then, you know, you'll see that she deserves to be on the JSA. So that was what she was doing. Like, she was basically like trying to audition, thinking that they're all a team now. Sportsmaster, he went to Pat's house and was like, yo, why you fucking with the Gambler? And then he was just like, you know, the Gambler wants to make amends, and then he has a daughter now. And for some reason, like, nobody's buying the fact that this man has a child. And it's like, that in itself is hilarious. So then, like, after that, you know, they just like, yo, watch your back around the Gambler, whatever, because he always has an ulterior motive. Then after that, you know, Starman and Pat together, he was looking at the robot, and then he wanted to take the robot out for a spin, and then Starman took the staff, and then Starman and Stripe, they saved an airplane from crashing, like, you know, just like the old days when it was Stars and Stripesy and everything. And then when they came back and then Courtney saw that he had the staff, she started feeling some kind of way, and then he apologized. Courtney and Starman actually had a straight up conversation where Starman told her to her face, he was like, look, when I came back, my every intention was to take back the staff. He was like, he said, I will. And then he said that the mystery of his death, he said that when Courtney unlocked the staff, it unlocked, like, whatever the hell was going on with him. And he said he woke up in a coffin, in his own coffin. He said after he woke up and then screamed and then got himself out of the coffin, that's when he began the search to try to find the staff. And he said that the staff basically saved his life and, like, woke him up. He said he was definitely intending on taking the staff back because he just thought that, you know, Pat was just keeping it warm for him. But when he got to Blue Valley and he saw, like, the new JSA and he saw Courtney and he saw everybody, he knew the torch had been passed and his time was up. And he said, it's all about the future now. And he said, but because I don't have any family, he said, because I don't have a wife, I don't have children, he said, I'm just going to have to, he said, I'll teach you. He said, I'll teach you how to use the staff. I'll teach you how to do everything. But then I got to find a way to live in this world. He's like, I got to find a place for good old, you know, Starman. But then that's when Courtney kind of felt bad. And she said, well, the staff still works for you. So she was like, what we can do is, since I got to go to school during the day, if people need saving during the day, you can do it during the day. And then when school's over, I can take the staff back at night. Stupid idea, but she still did it. So, you know, so he agreed to it, and then reluctantly, but then, you know, then he talked to Pat about it, and then Pat was just like, well, I guess we're doing this and everything. So now Starman's back, and then him and Courtney's going to split the whole thing 50-50, which is still a bad idea. Beth now, she found out some information about a gang of people that's actually in Blue Valley, or outside the city limits. The JSA, like, they suited up, Sydney included, they all suited up, and they went to go track down these people. The gang that it was called the No Limit Gang. I was like, they gonna get sued. They said that they tracked down the No Limit Gang. The team goes down there to try to confront the gang and see what they're all about. When they get there, and, you know, Cindy and Yolanda, they're still going back and forth, like, beefing with each other. When they get to where the crime is happening and they see the criminals and they're about to engage in the criminals, Artemis comes out of nowhere. And unless Cindy called her, I have no idea how Artemis got there. Artemis shows up, whooped everyone's ass, saved a random security guard, and then dipped. Cindy's whole thing was, and it makes sense to what Cindy said, because when Cindy saw the gang and just saw that it was just one security guard that was being tied up, she was like, girl, you really called all 5 of us for this bullshit? She was like, one person could have did it. Like, hell, like, our man could have did it, and there's something wrong with his hourglass, because when he was burying Solomon Grundy and trying to get him to resurrect, there was a moment where I guess like he couldn't like lift the shovel or something. Then he looked at the time clock on his hourglass and he still had 30 minutes, but he wasn't able to like, have the strength that he had. So there's a problem with the hourglass as well. So then, like I said, Artemis comes in, she whoops everybody's ass, and then she leaves and she's like, yo, how's that for an audition for the JSA? And then she dips and Cindy starts laughing. They go back to the garage where Cindy makes fun of Pat's garage and calls it like a bathroom garage for the robot. When Beth looked up the information, she said, we just fought the No Limit gang and they used to work for the Gambler. As soon as she said that, if you look in the background on that shot, Cindy immediately like popped up like, oh shit, like Cindy knew where the Gambler was. And then she just did the whole thing where she was just like, listen, I'm bored. She's like, call me when something happens. When really what she was doing was she was looking for the Gambler so she could talk to him directly. Rick at that point, he was just like, look, I'm sick of like, pandering to like supervillains. He said like, fuck the Gambler. He was like, to hell with Cindy. He said, we're going to go down there. We're going to beat him up. We're going to take him to prison. We're going to interrogate him. But then both Beth and Courtney was just like, listen, he deserves a chance. He deserves a chance. And then Yolanda was like, why does someone like the Gambler deserve a second chance? And then that's when Courtney told them that, look, he came to my house and he told me and Pat that he has a daughter and he's trying to be a better person for his daughter. And he said that the Gambler is a better father than my father ever was, because remember, her father was a dick. So they kind of felt bad. And then they were just like, okay, we're just going to go and to talk to him, but we're not actually going to engage. The Gambler was in his trailer and he was basically writing a letter to his daughter because he had his computer doing a search, and I believe his computer found her, and then that's what made him write the letter. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he tapped into a security feed that was pointing at his own trailer, because earlier in the episode he heard like noise outside and he picked up a pistol, and when he went outside to go see what the noise was, you just heard a car like screeching off and some tires burning. Whoever that was, that person planted a camera in front of his trailer and he found the camera. But just when he found the camera, somebody attacked him. So then when the JSA showed up to go, to go talk to him about the whole situation with his gang being back in town, they found the Gambler on the floor. I believe he's dead. There's a gigantic hole in his trailer, and Cindy was standing over him holding the Gambler's gun. And Cindy, to her credit, because she's smart, as soon as she looked and saw that it was Courtney and them right behind her, the first thing that came out of her mouth was, I ain't do it. Hey, my name's Bennett, and I ain't in it. That was how the episode ended, and thank you for tuning in. Now, based on every single thing that I've seen, based on this entire episode, let's just run down the list right now. The Gambler's daughter, because in the last season, because when Jenny was looking for her brother, she went to this nursing home, this orphanage. The lady said her brother wasn't there, and then she moved on. In the end, and the end credit scene for last season, it was the same nurse talking to somebody who looked like the Red Skull from Captain America, and he was voiced by the black dude whose name I can't remember, but he's in a lot of stuff because I recognize that voice. He basically was like, oh, like the nurse was like, oh, the child couldn't find her brother because her brother's a part of this gang. She was like, he couldn't find her brother. She couldn't find her brother, but we just found out that there's a load of metahuman superpowered children in Blue Valley. And then the skull looking dude was like, well, then we will have to pay Blue Valley a visit. And then that's how season 2 ended. This cult, this group, or whoever they are, they basically house, like, I guess, like superpowered people. They house children. Like superpowered children who have metahuman abilities. Now that they know that there are children in Blue Valley, they're on their way to Blue Valley to try to, recruit some of these kids. I guarantee you, the Gambler's old crew, the No Limit gang, they're working for these people. I guarantee you, the Gambler's daughter works for these people. And I'm going to say this now before it gets revealed. Starman works for these people. I promise you that. whatever, because I'm not buying the Starman thing about how Courtney touched the staff and he just magically came back from death. I'm like, where was the coroner? Why didn't know? Because again, when a person dies, you go to the Undertaker, you go to the coroner, they take out your remains, sew your face up and do all this other stuff. They don't just put you in the box. There was no coming back from that. So unless they had a bullshit funeral for him where they didn't actually do all that, I'm not buying the whole thing like, oh, they just snapped their fingers and I'm back to life. So he's a part of that group. He's a mole. He's being brainwashed by that crew. He's being brainwashed by those people. They brought him back to life somehow, and they're using him to try to infiltrate the JSA. And like I said, the gambler's daughter is on that team too. Hopefully Jenny will come back soon because we ain't got no money in the budget for no Green Lantern stuff. And it's going to be like Jenny, when they finally find this cult or whatever, that's when Jenny's going to come back because she's still looking for her brother. So that's my prediction. But there's going to be this whole thing in the next episode where, you know, Yolana's like, oh, Sydney did it. Sydney did it. They're going to think Sydney did it, but she didn't do it. And then we're going to go back and forth. But by the end of the season, Artemis is going to be redeemed. Cindy's going to be redeemed. And then, you know, whoever else is coming back. Like I said, there was no Icicle Jr., so, like, who knows what's going on with that as well. But we'll see what happens in the next episode. So that was it, guys. Stargirl is back, baby. Definitely looking forward to this season and where things can go. Share your questions, comments, and or concerns down on YouTube. Hit me up on Twitter and or Instagram. Let me know what you thought about the first episode of Stargirl. Let me know what you think about the fact that Stargirl is back, probably for the last time, the way all this DC Warner Brothers stuff is going with the new Discovery merger. But until then, we got one more season of Stargirl at least. Let's continue to please talk about it. So that was it, guys. So until next time, for episode 2, we're back in school now. We're still doing the frenemy thing, but for chapter 2 of Stargirl, take care, and I'm out this bitch!